Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why we call something impossible? Is it because it truly cannot be done, or because no one has done it yet? The word impossible often carries a finality that shuts the door before we even touch the handle. It makes the mind settle for less, accept limits, and convince itself there's no point in trying. But here's the truth. Most of what you think is impossible is only something you haven't figured out how to do yet. The barrier isn't in the world. It's in the mind that's been trained to give up before it even starts. We live in a reality where the brain loves certainty. It wants proof before it believes, a map before it travels, a guarantee before it risks. That's why the moment something feels too far, too complex, or too uncertain, your thoughts whisper, "It can't be done." This is not weakness, it's conditioning. From childhood, we are taught to stay inside the lines, to avoid failure, to protect ourselves from looking foolish. Over time, those rules become invisible walls, and anything beyond them feels impossible. But those walls are illusions. They only exist because you believe they do. When you label something impossible, you're not describing a fact, you're making a decision. You're deciding to stop exploring. You're choosing not to find the way forward. That decision is what keeps people stuck for years, trapped in the same patterns, living the same results. But the moment you shift your focus from "it can't" to "how could it," something changes. The brain, instead of shutting down, begins searching for answers. And what was once a closed door suddenly cracks open. Right now, there is a version of you capable of far more than you realize. You haven't met them yet because they only appear when you stop treating impossible as truth. They appear when you step into uncertainty, when you act before you feel ready, when you refuse to be convinced by fear. And once you take that first step, the thing you once thought was out of reach begins to feel closer, more real, and suddenly possible. If you stay with me, you'll discover how to dismantle the mental blocks that have been holding you back. You'll see how to break through the fear that freezes you, how to build a belief so strong that nothing can shake it, and how to turn setbacks into the very fuel that pushes you forward. This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about learning how to rewire your mind, take powerful action, and prove to yourself that your limits are not as fixed as you've been told. The reward for staying is simple, yet life-changing. You will walk away knowing that impossible is not a wall, it's a door. And by the time we're done, you'll know exactly how to open it. The rest of your life could be different. It all starts now. Your mind is the most powerful force you will ever possess, yet most people never learn how to use it to its full capacity. Every thought you entertain sends signals to your brain about what is possible and what is not. When you repeatedly tell yourself something cannot be done, your brain accepts it as fact and stops looking for solutions. But when you feed it a vision of what you want and focus on it with clarity, your mind begins to work for you, quietly scanning for opportunities and answers you didn't notice before. This is not magic. It's how your brain is wired to respond to what you believe. There is a small network in your brain that filters information based on what you consider important. When you believe in a possibility, this filter starts to align your awareness with things that can make it happen. You start seeing connections you would have ignored, meeting people who can help, noticing small steps you can take today that move you forward. It is as if the world around you changes, but in reality, it is you who has changed what you see. Your perception is the gateway to your reality. The danger comes when you let your focus stay on limitations. Every time you say, "I can't," your brain reinforces the pattern. Over time, you build mental habits that make you blind to chances right in front of you. But the moment you shift that focus, the moment you tell your mind to look for possibilities instead of problems, you begin to rewrite the script of your life. What once looked like a dead end now becomes a path you can walk. Your potential is not fixed. It expands or contracts depending on the quality of your thoughts. If you think small, you act small. If you think big, you act with energy, courage, and creativity. The difference between someone who achieves the extraordinary and someone who stays in the ordinary is often not talent or luck, but the ability to keep their mind fixed on what they want instead of what they fear. This is how possibilities grow. The mind will believe whatever you tell it repeatedly, whether it's the truth or not. Feed it doubt, and it will find reasons to quit. Feed it determination, and it will find ways to win. Every great change begins with an internal shift, a decision to stop accepting the limits you've been told and to start focusing on what you can create. That decision ignites the process, and from that moment on, every thought, every action, every choice becomes a brick in the path to your goal. Your life will rise or fall to the level of your thoughts. Train your mind to see the possible in every challenge, and the impossible will start to feel like something you can reach. When your mind believes, your world begins to follow. Fear is the first and loudest voice that rises when you stand at the edge of something new. It tells you to stay where it's safe, to avoid the unknown, to wait until you feel ready. But readiness is a lie fear uses to keep you from moving. You will never feel perfectly prepared. You will never have every answer before you begin. The truth is, fear is not a signal to stop. It is proof that you are stepping into territory where growth lives. It means you are about to expand into a version of yourself you have never met before. Your brain is designed to protect you from danger, but it cannot tell the difference between a real threat and a challenge that could change your life. That's why your heart races and your stomach tightens when you think about taking a risk. It's your body's way of trying to keep you within the boundaries you've already mastered. But boundaries do not create breakthroughs. If you stay within them, nothing changes. Fear only has power when you obey it. The moment you act in spite of it, you begin to weaken its hold. Action is the antidote to fear. Every step you take while afraid teaches your mind that you can survive discomfort. The more you face what you once avoided, the smaller it becomes in your mind. Fear thrives in hesitation, but it crumbles in movement. Even the smallest forward step begins to rewrite how your brain responds to challenge. You build a new pattern, one where courage becomes a habit, not a rare burst of strength. The people who achieve the things others call impossible are not fearless. They feel the same fear you do, but they have trained themselves to move anyway. They have learned that fear is not a wall, but a doorway disguised as resistance. On the other side is a level of strength and skill you can only access by walking through. If you wait for the fear to disappear, you will wait for the rest of your life. But if you walk forward now, even trembling, you will find that the fear begins to fade with every step. Every dream you have will demand a price, and that price is often the willingness to feel uncomfortable for a while. Comfort is easy, but it keeps you where you are. Growth feels messy, uncertain, even painful at times, but it's the only path that leads to transformation. The challenge is simple but not easy. Feel the fear and take the step anyway. When you do, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the voice that tries to hold you back. And once you prove it, nothing, no obstacle, no doubt, no risk, will have the same power over you again. Persistence is the quiet force that turns effort into achievement. It is not about sudden bursts of motivation that fade when things get hard. It is about the decision to keep going long after the excitement is gone, long after the results seem invisible, long after the world stops clapping. Persistence is discipline in motion. It is waking up each day and choosing to take another step, no matter how small, in the direction of your goal. Every challenge you face will test how badly you want it. The road will not always be straight, and progress will not always be obvious. There will be moments when it feels like nothing is working, when your mind whispers that it might be easier to quit. But persistence does not listen to those whispers. It understands that success is rarely about doing something once and getting it right. It is about doing it over and over until there is no room left for failure to stand. Small actions, repeated daily, create momentum that cannot be stopped. They compound in ways you cannot see at first. One choice leads to another. One effort builds on the last. And over time, those small, ordinary moments stack into extraordinary results. This is why persistence is more powerful than talent, more dependable than luck, and more unstoppable than opportunity alone. Consistency becomes the proof that you are serious about what you want. The path to turning the impossible into possible is not smooth. It will scrape against your patience, push against your limits, and demand more from you than you think you can give. But persistence thrives under pressure. Every obstacle you overcome strengthens your endurance, and every moment you keep moving forward, despite the difficulty, makes you harder to break. When you stay in motion, no matter how slow, you are still closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. There will be days when the progress feels invisible, when the results you dream of seem far away. In those moments, persistence is your anchor. It reminds you that the process itself is shaping you into the person capable of achieving the outcome. The transformation is not only in what you get at the end, but in who you become on the way. The act of showing up again and again rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. When you commit to persistence, you give yourself the greatest advantage of all: time. Time to grow, time to adapt, time to win. The impossible bends to those who refuse to back down. And when you hold your ground through every setback, you do more than reach your goal. You prove to yourself that nothing can stand in your way if you refuse to stop moving forward. Failure is not the end. It is a mirror reflecting what needs to change. Too many people see it as a verdict, a final judgment that defines their worth or ability. In truth, failure is only feedback. It is information, raw and honest, showing you where your approach was weak, where your focus slipped, where your preparation fell short. When you learn to see it without fear, it becomes one of your most valuable tools. It is the sharp edge that shapes your skills, the friction that polishes your resilience, the pressure that forces growth. Every setback carries a lesson, but only those who look for it will find it. If you run from the discomfort, you run from the wisdom it holds. Every missed opportunity, every rejected attempt, every plan that didn't unfold as you hoped is a map pointing to what must be done differently. It is not punishment, it is preparation. The frustration you feel when things fall apart is a signal that you care enough to want better. That energy, if channeled, becomes determination. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is not whether they fail, it is how they respond when they do. Some retreat, building walls to avoid the sting again. Others lean in, facing the truth with open eyes, willing to feel the discomfort because they know it is temporary. They understand that the pain of failure fades, but the regret of never trying lasts far longer. When you choose to learn instead of surrender, you turn the very thing that tried to stop you into the reason you move forward. It is easy to feel defeated when your effort does not bring the result you wanted. But defeat is not an event, it is a choice. You decide whether a loss will end your pursuit or fuel it. You decide whether a closed door means you turn back or find another entrance. The ones who achieve what seems impossible are the ones who refuse to let failure define them. They carry the lessons forward, and with each attempt, they become stronger, smarter, and more prepared. Failure strips away illusions. It forces you to see the truth about your habits, your strategies, your mindset. And in that truth lies freedom. You are no longer weighed down by what you wish were true. You are armed with what actually is. From that place of clarity, your next step becomes sharper, more precise, and far more powerful. When you learn to use failure as a stepping stone, you stop fearing it. You stop avoiding risks that could change your life. You stop holding back when opportunities appear. You begin to understand that every setback is simply part of the process, and the process is what transforms the impossible into something you can hold in your hands. Belief is the foundation upon which every transformation is built. Without it, even the clearest plan collapses under the weight of doubt. With it, even the most uncertain path can be walked with strength. Belief is not something you wait to feel, it is something you choose to create. It begins as a decision, a conscious refusal to surrender to the voice that says you are not enough. It is the quiet agreement between you and your future that no matter what comes, you will keep moving toward it. Your mind will try to measure your ability based on your past. It will replay old failures, remind you of the times you gave up, and try to convince you that what you've always been is all you can ever be. But belief breaks that cycle. It rewrites the script by telling your mind that your past is not the ruler of your future. When you commit to believing, you stop waiting for proof and start acting as if success is inevitable. And when you act from that place, your decisions carry a different weight, your energy shifts, and your results begin to change. Belief is more than a feeling, it is a mental habit. It grows stronger every time you choose to back yourself instead of doubting yourself. Every time you protect your vision from negativity, whether it comes from the outside world or your own thoughts, you feed that belief. And like a muscle, the more you action is the bridge between belief and reality. Without action, belief remains a vision locked inside your mind. You can think, you can dream, you can imagine, but until you take a step, nothing changes. The world does not respond to what you intend, it responds to what you do. Every movement you make in alignment with your goal sends a signal to your own mind that you are serious, that this is not a wish, but a decision. That signal begins to rewire your patterns, replacing hesitation with momentum. Action does not need to be massive at the start. It needs to be consistent. Small steps, taken daily, compound into results that seem impossible from the beginning. The problem is not that people cannot take big leaps, it is that they never take the small ones that prepare them for the leap. Waiting for the perfect time or the perfect feeling will keep you standing still while life moves on without you. Action is the cure for hesitation. Once you move, Fear loses its grip, and clarity replaces confusion. Every time you act, you gain information. You discover what works, what doesn't, and where you need to adjust. Without action, you are left with guesswork, trapped in your own mind, creating problems that might not even exist. But with action, you gain real feedback. That feedback, combined with persistence, builds a path forward even through uncertainty. Your mind will try to protect you from discomfort by telling you to wait, to prepare more, to think it through one more time. That voice feels reasonable, but it is the voice that keeps dreams in the realm of someday. The truth is, there is no perfect readiness. Readiness is built through doing. Each step forward creates the capability you thought you needed before starting. Action also builds self-trust. When you tell yourself you will do something and you follow through, you strengthen your belief in your own word. That trust becomes power. You stop relying on external motivation because you know you can depend on yourself. Every promise kept to yourself becomes another brick in the foundation of your confidence. There will be resistance. There will be days when you do not feel like moving. Those are the days that matter most because they define the difference between wanting change and creating it. Action taken in the face of resistance carries more weight than action taken when it's easy. It sends a message to your mind that your commitment is stronger than your comfort. When belief fuels action, and action fuels more belief, you create a cycle that cannot be broken from the outside. You become unstoppable, because each move forward reinforces the truth that the impossible is not a wall. It is only a door waiting for you to push it open. Your journey toward the possible does not end the moment you reach your goal. True transformation is not a destination. It is a way of living. It is the daily choice to embody the strength, courage, and belief that turned your impossible into reality. This means showing up as proof that change is not a moment but a lifestyle. When you live this way, you become a beacon, not just for yourself, but for everyone who watches from the sidelines, waiting for their own sign that it can be done. Living as proof means carrying your success with humility and gratitude, recognizing that the battles you fought shaped you into who you are. It means no longer doubting your ability to face future challenges because you have already conquered what once seemed insurmountable. This new identity is not fragile or temporary. It is unshakable because it is built on experience, resilience, and unwavering commitment. It is a statement to yourself and the world that you are capable of more than you ever believed. When you embody this transformation, you stop living in fear of failure or judgment. Instead, you carry the quiet confidence of someone who has been tested and has emerged stronger. This confidence is magnetic. It draws people, opportunities, and resources toward you. It creates an environment where possibility is the default, not the exception. Your presence alone begins to shift the energy around you, making the impossible less intimidating for others as well. The power of living as proof lies in your ability to inspire by example. Words can motivate, but consistent action over time changes minds and hearts. You become a living testament to what is possible when belief meets persistence, when fear is met with courage, and when dreams are pursued relentlessly. Your life becomes the proof that the limits others accept are often self-imposed. This embodiment requires vigilance. It demands that you protect your mindset from slipping back into doubt, that you keep your vision alive through daily reminders, and that you surround yourself with those who support your growth. It means continuing to take bold steps forward even when the path ahead is not clear, trusting that you have what it takes to navigate whatever comes next. Living as proof is not about perfection. It is about perseverance and authenticity. It is about showing up fully with all your imperfections and strengths and refusing to let past limitations define your future. Every choice you make becomes a reaffirmation of your commitment to growth and possibility. Each day lived in alignment with this truth strengthens your ability to turn new impossibilities into new realities. You hold the power to rewrite the definition of possible for yourself and those around you. When you live as proof, you are no longer waiting for change. You are the change. This is the ultimate victory, the highest level of transformation. The impossible is no longer a barrier but a memory, replaced by a life that proves without question that what once seemed out of reach is now yours to claim. Today is the moment your impossible begins to rewrite itself. You have already learned that impossible is not a wall, but a door waiting to be opened. Now it is time to reach out and push. This moment calls for more than hope or wishful thinking. It demands your full commitment, your focused energy, and your willingness to act with courage despite doubt. The door won't open on its own. You must be the force that moves it. Every second you delay is a choice to stay where you are. The pain of staying stuck is real, but so is the power of change within you. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions, nor do you need to feel ready. Readiness comes from moving forward, not standing still. The first step may be shaky, uncertain, or small, but it will be the step that sets everything else in motion. Once you move, momentum begins to build. This is your invitation to stop letting fear or hesitation dictate your future. The thoughts that tell you I can't or it's too late are not truths. They are habits formed from past conditioning. Your task is to break those habits by replacing them with new ones. Thoughts of possibility, belief in your strength, and actions that prove your determination. Each time you choose possibility over doubt, you carve a new path in your brain, one that leads away from limitation and toward freedom. You are not alone in this. The power to transform the impossible into the possible has been within you all along. It lives in your resilience, your persistence, your willingness to learn from failure, and your courage to act even when fear is loud. That power awakens with every decision you make to move forward. It grows with every small victory, every challenge overcome, and every moment you refuse to give up. Imagine what your life would look like if you believed that nothing was truly out of reach. Imagine the confidence you would carry, the risks you would take, and the growth you would experience. That life is waiting for you beyond this moment, but to reach it, you must take responsibility for your thoughts, your actions, and your vision. You must become the leader of your own mind and the architect of your own future. The impossible becomes possible when you stop asking why me and start asking why not me. When you decide that you deserve success and that you are willing to earn it, you step into a new reality, one where obstacles become opportunities, setbacks become lessons, and fear becomes fuel. This is not a distant dream. It is your next chapter waiting to be written. The question is no longer if you can change your life. The question is, will you? Will you rise above the limits that have held you back? Will you commit to the daily work of believing, acting, persisting, and living as proof? Your answer will define not just your story, but the very meaning of what is possible for you. The time to begin is now. The impossible is waiting for you to claim it.